Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Who would like to chant the prayers? Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Who would like to chant the prayer? I'm hearing my own voice.
I can chant, Prabhu. Just give me 1 second.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanativedandasya Jnanantilashalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutare. Swayam Rupakaramasya Tadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamallam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarcharam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Ravidas Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Lokesh Gopesha Gopika Kante Radha Kante Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyashcha Kripasindhibhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Shinmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayanto Stiyabhatarani Vidunodi Shoshataam Ashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable factor.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Who would like to start?
I'll start, Prabhu.
Start, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam to all of you.
Hare
Jai Shri
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Subham
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu, Hare
Siddharth
Krishna,
Prabhu, Hare
Siddharth
Krishna,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
Hare
Jagat
Krishna,
Ram, Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Prabhu.
Prabhupada.
Shri Prabhupada.
If Sridhar Prabhu wants to go ahead, we can. Shall I
Okay,
read,
Prabhu. I can start, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Text 1. Okay. Dhruva Maharaj returns home. This, which is chapter, Prabhu? 4th canto, 2nd chapter, right? Ninth chapter.
Yes, Prabhu.
4th canto, 9th chapter, text 1. Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Maitreya Uvacha Ta evam utsanna Baya Urukrame Vritava Prayusti Vistapam Sahasrasi Sahasrisaras Sahasrishasapi Tato Karutpata Madhur Vanam Rityadi Drakshaya Gataha. Maitreya Uvacha. The great sage Maitreya continued, They, the demigods, evam, thus, utsanna bayaha, being freed from all fears, urukrame, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose actions are uncommon, krita avanamaha, they offered their obeisances, prayahu, they returned, three Distapam to the respective heavenly planets. Sahasra Shirsha Api, also the personality of the Godhead, known as Sahasra Shirsha. Tataha, from there, Garut Mata, getting up on the back of Garuda. Madho Vanam, the forest known as Madhuvana. Vritya, servant. Didrikshaya, wishing to see him. Gataha, went. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who was not different from the Sahasra Shirsha incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvana forest to see his servant Dhruva. Purport. The word Sahasra Shirsha refers to the personality of Godhead known as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Although the Lord appeared as Shirodakashayi Vishnu, he has been described here as Sahasra Shirsha Vishnu because he is not different from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Bhagavatam, the Sahasra Shirsha personality of Godhead who appeared at that time was the incarnation known as Krishni Garbha. He created the planet known as Dhruvaloka for the habitation of Dhruva Maharaj. Text 2. Savaidya yoga vipaka tivraya Padmakoshe spuritam taditravam Tirohitam sahasaivopadakshya Bahi stitam tad avastam dadarsha. Saha Dhruva Maharaj. Why? Also, Diya, by meditation. Yoga Vipaka, Tivraya, on account of mature realization of the yogic process. Rit, the heart. Padma Koshe, on the lotus of. Spuritham, manifested. Tad Prabham, brilliant like lightning. Tirohitam, having disappeared. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Eva, also. Uparakshya, by observing. Bahistitam, externally situated. Tat avastam, in the same posture. Darsha was able to see. Translation. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus, Dhruva was perturbed and his meditation broke. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing him in his heart. Perfect. Because of his mature position in yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj was constantly observing the form of the personality of Godhead within his heart. But all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality disappeared from his heart, he thought that he had lost him. He was perturbed. But upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he saw the same form of the Lord before him. In the Brahma Samhita 5.38, it is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, a saintly person who has developed a love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord's transcendental form of Shyamasundara. This Shyamasundara form of the Lord within the heart of a devotee is not imagination. When a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees eye to eye the same Shyamasundara he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. Since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavana Dham, are all the same. They are not different from one another. So, Text 3. तद्दर्शनेनागतशाद्वशः क्षिताम् अवन्दताग्नं विनमय्य तन्दवत् दृग्भ्यां प्रपश्यन् प्रपिबन् निवार्पकश् चुम्बन् निवाशेन भुजैरिवाश्लिषन् तद्दर्शनेन. After seeing the Lord, Agata Satvashah, Dhruva Maharaj, being greatly confused. Maybe if you can scroll a little up. Chitau on the ground. Avandata offered obeisances. Angam, his body. Vinamaya, prostrating. Dandavat, just like a rod. Drikbyam, with his eyes. Prapasyan, looking upon. Prapiban, drinking. Iva, like Arbakaha, the boy. Tumban, kissing. Iva, like Asyena, with his mouth. Bujaihi, with his arms. Eva, like Aslishan, embracing. Translation: when Dhruva Maharaj saw his Lord just in front of him, he was greatly agitated and offered him obeisances and respect. He fell flat before him like a rod and became absorbed in love of God. Dhruva Maharaj, in ecstasy, looking upon the Lord as if he were drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth, and embracing the Lord with his arms. But naturally, when Dhruva Maharaj personally saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, he was very much agitated in awe and respect, and it appeared that as if he were drinking the entire body of the Lord with his eyes. The devotee's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so intense that he wants to kiss the lotus feet of the Lord constantly, and he wants to touch the lips of the toes of the Lord and constantly embrace his lotus feet. All these features of Dhruva Maharaj's bodily expression indicate that upon seeing the Lord eye to eye, he developed the 8 kinds of transcendental ecstasy in his body. Text 4. Satam vivakshantam atatvidam harir jnatvasya sarvasya chahardi havastitaha kritanjalim brahma mayena kambuna parsparshabaram kripaya krapoli. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tam, Dhruva Maharaj, Vivakshantam, wanting to offer prayers describing his qualities. Atatvidam, not experienced at that. Harihi, the personality of Godhead. Nyatva, having understood. Asya of Dhruva Maharaj. Sarvasya of everyone. Cha and Hridi in the heart. Avastitaha, being situated. Rita Anjali, situated with folded hands. Brahma Mayena, just up to the words of the Vedic hymns. Kambuna, with his conch shell. Pasparsha touched. Balam, the boy. Kripaya, out of costless mercy. Kapoli, on the forehead. Translation. If you could scroll down, please. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy, still he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of God in subtle language. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruva Maharaj's awkward position. Out of his costless mercy, he touched this conch shell to the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Purport. Every devotee wants to chant the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Devotees are always interested in hearing about the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and they are always eager to glorify these qualities. But sometimes they feel inconvenienced by humbleness. The personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, specifically gives a devotee intelligence to describe him. It is therefore understood that when a devotee writes or speaks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, It is dictated by the Lord from within. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter. To those who constantly engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord from within dictates what to do next in order to serve him. When Dhruva Maharaj felt hesitant, not knowing how to describe the Lord for want of sufficient experience, the Lord, out of his costless mercy, touched his conch shell through Dhruva's forehead, and he was transcendently inspired. This transcendental inspiration is called Brahma Maya because when one is thus inspired, the sound he produces exactly corresponds to the sound vibration of the Vedas. This is not the ordinary sound vibration of this material world. Therefore, the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra, although presented in the ordinary alphabet, should not be taken as mundane or material. Text 5. Tavai tadaiva pratipaditam giram daivim parigyata paratma nirnaya tam bhakti bhavo vyagna tam bhakti bhavo vyagna granat asatvaram parishrutorushavasham dhruvakshitihi. Saha Dhruva Maharaj, why certainly tada at that time, eva just pratipaditam, having attained Dhiram speech, daivim transcendental, parijnatha understood, para atma of the Supreme Soul, nirnaya the conclusion, tam to the Lord, bhakti bhavaha situated in devotional service, abhyagranat offered prayers, asatvanam without any hasty conclusion, parishruta widely known, Guru Shavasam whose theme, Dhruva Shitihi, Dhruva whose planet would not be annihilated. Translation: at that time, Dhruva Maharaj became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. In accordance with the line of the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread, Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which would never be annihilated, even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers. He understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. Perfect. There are many important items to be considered in this verse. First of all, the relationship between the absolute truth and the relative material and spiritual energies is here understood by a student who has complete knowledge of the Vedic literature. Dhruva Maharaj never went to any school or academic teacher to learn the Vedic conclusion, but because of his devotional service to the Lord, as soon as the Lord appeared and touched his forehead with his conch shell, automatically the entire Vedic conclusion was revealed to him. That is the process of understanding Vedic literature. One cannot understand it simply by academic learning. The Vedas indicate that only to one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord as well as in the spiritual master is the Vedic conclusion revealed. The example of Dhruva Maharaj is that he engaged himself in devotional. If you could follow. The example of Dhruva Maharaj is that he engaged himself in devotional service to the Lord according to the order of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. As a result of his rendering such devotional service with great determination and austerity, the personality of Godhead personally manifested himself before him. Dhruva was only a child. He wanted to offer nice prayers to the Lord. But because he lacked sufficient knowledge, he hesitated. But by the mercy of the Lord, As soon as the Lord's conscience touched his forehead, he became completely aware of the very conclusion. That conclusion is based on proper understanding of the difference between Jiva and Paramatma, the individual soul and the super soul. The individual soul is forever a servant of the super soul, and therefore his relationship with the super soul is to offer service. That is called Bhakti Yoga or Bhakti Bhava. Dhruva Maharaj offered his prayers to the Lord not in the way of the impersonalist philosophers, but as a devotee. Therefore, it is clearly said here, Bhakti Bhava, the only prayers worth offering are those offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose reputation is spread far and wide. Dhruva Maharaja wanted to have the kingdom of his father, but his father refused to even allow him to get on his lap. In order to fulfill his desire, the Lord had already created a planet known as the pole star, Dhruvaloka, which was never to be annihilated even at the time of the dissolution of the universe. Where do this? But this father refused to even allow him to get on his lap. In order to fulfill his desire, the Lord had already created a planet known as the pole star, Dhruvaloka, which was never to be annihilated even at the time of dissolution of the universe. Dhruva Maharaj did not attain this perfection by acting hastily, but by patiently executing the order of the spiritual master, and therefore he became so successful that he saw the Lord face to face. Now he was further enabled by the costless mercy of the Lord to offer fitting prayers to the Lord. To glorify or offer praise unto the Supreme, one needs the Lord's mercy. One cannot write to glorify the Lord unless one is endowed with his costless mercy. Would anyone like to continue from here? Thank you, Prabhu.
I will continue, bro.
Oh, Haribol. Hare Krishna, Sridhar Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. Sorry
Thank you very
for
much, Prabhu.
doing bad job at scrolling.
No, Prabhu, I realized I can also scroll. I should do the scrolling myself.
Yes, Prabhu. I was cooking, so my hands were at oil, so I had to wipe it in
No
between.
problem. I actually thought I was reading fast also.
No problem. It was really
Thank you,
nice.
Prabhu.
Okay, who wants to?
Praveen
Oh,
Prabhu.
Praveen Prabhu will read.
I will do
Krishna
it, bro.
Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Karnam Prana, Jai Srila Prabhupada, bro. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Canto 4, chapter 9, verse 6. Dhruva Uvacha Yontah Pravisya Mama Vacham Imam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akhila Shakti Dharaha Swadhamna Anyamscha Hasta Charana Shravana Tvag Adin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. Synonyms: Dhruva Uvacha. Dhruva Maharaj said, am I able to control your screen? Okay. Dhruva Uvacha, Dhruva Maharaj said, Yaha, the Supreme Lord, who, Antaha.
Prabhu scroll down, Prabhu.
Yes. Is it visible to you now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Synonyms: Dhruva Uvacha, Dhruva Maharaj said, Yaha, the Supreme Lord, who, Antaha, within, Pravishya, entering, Mama, my, Vacham, words, Imam, all these, Prasuptam, which are all inactive or dead, Sanjeevayati, rejuvenates, Akhila, universal, Shakti, energy, Dharaha, possessing Swadhamna by his internal potency, Anyancha, other limbs also, Hasta, like hands, Charana, legs, Shravana, ears, Tvak, skin, Adin, and so on, Pranan, life force, Namaha, let me offer my obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushaya, the Supreme Person, Tubhyam, unto you. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj said, My dear Lord, you are all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses, my hands, legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very easily the difference between his condition before and after attaining spiritual realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He could understand that his life force and activities had been sleeping. Unless one comes to the spiritual platform, his body, limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as a dead man's activities or ghostly activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a song in which he addresses himself, O living entity, get up. How long shall you sleep on the lap of Maya? Now you have the opportunity of possessing a human form of body. Now try to get up and realize yourself. The Vedas also declare, get up, get up. You have the opportunity, the boon of the human form of life. Now realize yourself. These are the Vedic injunctions. Dhruva Maharaj actually experienced that upon enlightenment of his senses on the spiritual platform, he could understand the essence of Vedic instruction that the Supreme Godhead is the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Dhruva Maharaj could immediately understand this fact. He was aware that for a very long time he was practically sleeping and he left the impetus to glorify the Lord according to the Vedic conclusion. A mundane person cannot offer any prayer or glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has no realization of the Vedic conclusion. When Dhruva Maharaj therefore found this difference within himself, he could immediately understand that it was because of the causeless mercy of the Lord. He offered obeisances to the Lord with great respect and reverence, completely understanding that the Lord's favor was upon him. This spiritual enlightenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses, mind, etc., was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, the word Swadhamna means by a spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord, Hare. This spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal savior. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevonmukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to himself. Without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction of the material energy. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified.
Prabhu,
And
you are going faster than screen, Prabhu.
oh, sorry, no problem. Okay. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified and he engages only in the service of the Lord. At that time, his hands, legs, ear, tongue, mind, genitals, everything engage in the service of the Lord. Such an enlightened devotee no longer has any material activities, nor has he any interest in being materially engaged. This process of purifying the senses and engaging them in the service of the Lord is known as bhakti or devotional service. In the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction of the spiritual master and Shastra, and after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning, the senses are engaged in a mechanical way, but after realization, they are engaged in spiritual understanding. Text 7. Ekastvam eva Bhagavan idam atma shaktya mayakya yoru gunaya mahadadi ashesham srishtvanu vishya purushastad asad guneshu naneva darushu vibhavasu vad vibhasi. Synonyms. Ekaha, one. Tvam, you. Eva, certainly. Bhagavan, O my Lord, idam, this material world, Atma Shaktya, by your own potency, Maya Akhyaya, of the name Maya, Uru, greatly powerful, Gunaya, consisting of the modes of nature, Mahat Adi, the Mahat Tattva, etc., Ashesham, unlimited, Srishtva, after creating, Anuvishya, then after entering Purushaha, the supreme, the super soul, Tat, of Maya, Asat Guneshu, into the temporarily manifested qualities, Nana, variously, Iva, as if, Darushu, into pieces of wood, Vibhavasu, Vat, just like fire, Vibhasi, you appear. Translation. My Lord, you are the Supreme One, but by your different energies, you appear differently in the spiritual and material worlds. You create the total energy of the material world by your external potency, and after creation, you enter within the material world as the super soul. You are the supreme person, and through the temporary modes of material nature, you create varieties of manifestation, just as fire entering into wood of different shapes burns brilliantly in different varieties. Purport. Dhruva Maharaj realized that the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, acts through his different energies, not that he becomes void or impersonal and thus becomes all pervading. The Mayavadi philosopher thinks that the absolute truth being spread throughout the cosmic manifestation has no personal form. But here, Dhruva Maharaj, upon realization of the Vedic conclusion, says, you are spread all over the cosmic manifestation by your energy. This energy is basically spiritual, but because it acts in the material world temporarily, it is called Maya or illusory energy. In other words, for everyone but the devotees, the Lord's energy acts as external energy. Dhruva Maharaj could understand this fact very nicely, and he could understand also that the energy and the energetic are one and the same. The energy cannot be separated from the energetic. The identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the feature of Paramatma or Super Soul is admitted herein. His original spiritual energy enlivens the material energy, and thus the dead body appears to have life force. Voidist philosophers think that under certain material conditions, symptoms of life occur in the material body, but the fact is that the material body cannot act on its own. Even a machine needs separate energy, electric, steam, etc. It is stated in this verse that the material energy acts in varieties of material bodies, just as fire burns differently in different wood according to the size and quality of the wood. In the case of devotees, the same energy is transformed into spiritual energy. This is possible because the energy is originally spiritual, not material. As it is said, Vishnu Shakti para prokta. The original energy inspires a devotee, and thus he engages all his bodily limbs in the service of the Lord. The same energy as external potency engages the ordinary non-devotees in material activities for sense enjoyment. We should mark the difference between Maya and Swadhama. For devotees, the Swadhama acts, whereas in the case of non-devotees, the Maya energy acts. Text 8. Taddatva Vanunayedam Achashta Vishwam Supta Prabuddha Iva Natha Bhavat Prapannaha Tasyapa Varga Sharanam Tavapada Moolam Vismaryate Kritavida Katham Ata Bandho. Synonyms: Tat Dattva, given by you, Vayunaya, by knowledge, Idam, this, Achashta, could see, Vishwam, whole universe, Supta Prabuddha, a man rising from sleep, Iva, like Natha, O my Lord, Bhavat Prapannaha, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you, Tasya, his, Apavargya, of persons describing liberation, Sharanam, the shelter, Tava, your, Padamulam, lotus feet, Vismaryate, can be forgotten, Kritavida, by a learned person, Katham, how, Arthabandho, O friend of the distressed. Translation: O my master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning, you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe, just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes his immediate duties. You are the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you are the friend of all who are distressed. How, therefore, can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be forgotten even for a moment by his surrendered devotees. The devotee understands that the Lord's causeless mercy is beyond his estimation. He cannot know how much he is benefited by the grace of the Lord. The more a devotee engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, the more encouragement he is supplied by the energy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that to those who are constantly engaged in devotional service with love and affection, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives intelligence from within, and thus they may make further progress. Being so encouraged, the devotee can never forget at any moment the personality of Godhead. He always feels obliged to him for having achieved increased power in devotional service by his grace. Saintly persons like Sanaka, Sanatana, and Lord Brahma were able to see the entire universe by the mercy of the Lord through knowledge of the Lord. The example is given that a person may apparently abstain from sleep all day, but as long as he is not spiritually enlightened, he is actually sleeping. He may sleep at night and perform his duties in the daytime, but as long as he does not come to the platform of working in spiritual enlightenment, he is considered to be always sleeping. A devotee therefore never forgets the benefit derived from the Lord. The Lord is addressed here as Arthabandhu, which means friend of the distressed. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, after many births of executing severe austerities in search of knowledge, one comes to the point of real knowledge and becomes wise when he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosopher who does not surrender unto the Supreme Person is understood to be lacking in real knowledge. The devotee in perfect knowledge cannot forget his obligation to the Lord at any moment. Text 9. Nunam vimushta matayas tava mayaya te ye tvam bhavapyaya vimokshanam anya hetoh archanti kalpatarum कुणपोपभोग्यम् इच्छन्ति यत् स्पर्श स्पर्शजं निरयेऽपि नृणां synonyms नूनं certainly vimushta matayah those who have lost their right intelligence tava your mayaya by influence of the illusory energy they ye who tvam you bhava from birth apyaya and death vimokshanam the cause of liberation anya hetoh for other purposes archanti worship kalpakatarum who are like the desire tree punapa of this dead body upabhogyam sense gratification icchanti they desire yet that which sparshajam derived by touch sensation niraye in hell api even nrinam for persons. Translation: persons who worship you simply for the sense gratification of this bag of skin are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. In spite of having you, who are like a desire tree and are the cause of liberation from birth and death. Foolish persons such as me desire benediction from you for sense gratification, which is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. Purport: Dhruva Maharaj repented because he came to the Lord to render devotional service for material profit. He here condemns his attitude. Only due to gross lack of knowledge does one worship the Lord for material profit or for sense gratification. The Lord is like a desire tree. Anyone can have whatever he desires from the Lord, but people in general do not know what kind of benediction they should ask from him. Happiness derived from the touch of screen or sensuous happiness is present in the life of hogs and dogs. Such happiness is very insignificant. If a devotee worships the Lord for such insignificant happiness, he must be considered devoid of all knowledge. Text and या निर्वृत्तिस् तनु भृतां तव पाद पद्मा ध्याया ध्यानाद् भवज जन कथा श्रवणेन वा स्यात् सा ब्रह्मणि स्वमहिमनि अपि नाथ मा भूत् किं किं त्वि अंतकासि लुलितात् पतताम विमानात् synonyms yeah that which nirvrittihi blissfulness tanubhrutam of the embodied tava your pada padma lotus feet dhyanat from meditating upon bhavat jana from your intimate devotees katha topics shravanena by hearing va or syat comes into being sa that bliss brahmani in the impersonal brahman swa mahimani your own magnificence api even natha o lord ma never bhoot exists kim what to speak of to then antaka asi by the sword of death lulitat being destroyed patatam of those who fall down vimanat from their airplanes. Translation: My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from your uh, devotional service, what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. Purport: the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, primarily from Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, cannot be compared with the happiness derived by karmis by elevating themselves to the heavenly planets, or by jnanis or yogis who enjoy oneness with the Supreme Impersonal Brahman. Yogis generally meditate upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, but devotees not only meditate upon him but actually engage in the direct service of the Lord. In the previous verse, we find the phrase bhavapyaya, which means birth and death. The Lord can give relief from the chain of birth and death. It is a misunderstanding to think, as do the monists, that when one gets relief from the process of birth and death, he merges into the Supreme Brahman. Here it is clearly said that the transcendental bliss derived from Sravanam Kirtanam by pure devotees cannot be compared with Brahmananda, or the impersonal conception of transcendental bliss derived by merging into the Absolute. The position of karmis is still more degraded. Their aim is to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems. It is said, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Persons who worship the demigods are elevated to the heavenly planets. Bhagavad Gita 9:25. But elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 9:21, we find Shine Punya Matyalokam Vishanti. Those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems must come down again as soon as the results of their pious activities are exhausted. They are like the modern astronauts who go to the moon, and as soon as their fuel is used up, they are obliged to come back down to this earth. As soon as the modern astronauts who go to the moon or other heavenly planets by force of jet propulsion have to come down again after exhausting their fuel, so also do those who are elevated to the heavenly planets by force of yajnas and pious activities. Antakashi Lulitat. By the word of time, one is cut from his exalted position within this material world and he comes down again. Dhruva Maharaj appreciated that the results of devotional service are far more valuable than merging into the absolute or being elevated to the heavenly planets. The words Patatam Vimanat are very significant. Vimana means airplane. Those who are elevated to the heavenly planets are like airplanes which drop when they run out of fuel. Text 11. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi me prasango bhuyad ananta mahatam amlashayanam yenanja solbhanam uru vyasanam भवाब्धिम नेष्ये भवद्गुण कथामृत पान मत्तः. Synonyms: bhaktim, devotional service; muhu, constantly; pravahatam, of those who perform; tvayi, unto you; me, my; prasangaha, intimate association; bhuyat, may it become; ananta, o unlimited; mahatam, of the great devotees; amala ashayanam, amala ashayanam, those whose hearts are freed from material contamination; yena, by which; anjasa, easily; ulabhanam, ulbanam, terrible; uru, great; Vesanam, full of dangers; Bhava, ad, abdhim, the ocean of material existence; Neshye, I shall cross; Bhavat, your; Guna, transcendental activities; Katha, pastimes; Amrita, nectar, eternal; Pana, by drinking; Mattaha, mad. Translation: Dhrumaraj continued, "O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I can be associated with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nascent ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent." Purport: the significant point in Dhruv Maharaj's statement is that he wanted the association of pure devotees. Transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. We have therefore established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone who is tried to be aloof from this Krishna Consciousness Society and yet engage in Krishna Consciousness is living in a great hallucination, for this is not possible. From this statement of Dhromaraj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. He does not become distinct from material activities. The Lord says, "Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti krit karna rasayanaha kataha." Only in the association of pure devotees, one can the words of Lord Krishna be fully potent and relishable to the heart and ear. Bhagavatam 3:25-25. Dhruv Maharaj explicitly wanted the association of devotees. That association devotional activities is just like the waves of an incessantly flowing river. In our Krishna Consciousness Society, we have full engagement 24 hours a day. Every moment of our time is always busily engaged in the service of the Lord. This is called the incessant flow of devotional service. A Mayavadi philosopher may question us: "You may be very happy in the association of devotees, but what is your plan for crossing the ocean of material existence?" Dhruv Maharaj's answer is that it is not very difficult. He clearly says that this ocean can be crossed very easily if one simply becomes mad to hear the glories of the Lord. Bhavat Guna Katha. For anyone who persistently engages in hearing the topics of the Lord from Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and who is actually addicted to this process, just as one becomes addicted to intoxicants, it is very easy to cross the nescience of material existence. The ocean of material nescience is compared with a blazing fire. But to a devotee, this blazing fire is insignificant because he is completely absorbed in devotional service. Although the material world is blazing fire, to a devotee it appears full of pleasure. Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. The purport of this statement by Dhruv Maharaj is that devotional service in the association of devotees is the cause of the development of further devotional service. By devotional service only is one elevated to the transcendental planet Goloka Vrindavana, and there is only devotional service. For the activities of devotional service both in this world and in the spiritual world are one and the same. Devotional service does not change. The example of a mango can be given here. If one gets an unripe mango, it is still a mango, and when it is ripe, it remains the same mango, but it becomes more tasteful and relishable. Similarly, there is devotional service performed according to the direction of the spiritual master and the injunctions and regulative principles of Shastra. And there is devotional service in the spiritual world rendered directly in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they are both the same. There is no change. The difference is that one stage is unripe and the other stage is ripe and more relishable. It is possible to mature in devotional service only in the association of devotees. Text 12. Tena स्मरन्ति अतितरां प्रियम् ईश मत्यं ये चान्वधः सुत सुहृद गृहवित्त दाराः ये त्वब्ज नाभ भवदीय पदारविन्दा सौगन्ध्य लुब्ध हृदयेषु कृत प्रसंगाः synonyms they na never smaranti remember atir atitaram highly priyam dear isha o lord Martyam, material body, ye, they, who, cha, also, anu, in relationship with, adaha, that, suta, sons, suhrit, friends, griha, home, vitta, wealth, darah, and wife, a, those who, to, then, abja, nabha, O Lord, who has a lotus navel, bhavadiya, of your Pada Aravinda, lotus feet, Saugandhya, the fragrance, Lubdha, have achieved Hridayeshu with devotees whose hearts, Krita Prasangaha, have association. Translation: O Lord, who has a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in relationship with it. Offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons, he does not care for them. Purport. A special advantage in devotional service is that devotees not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord by hearing and chanting and glorifying them, but also they are not very much attached to their bodies, unlike the yogis who are too attached to the body and who think that by performing bodily gymnastic exercises, they will advance in spiritual consciousness. Yogis are generally not very much interested in devotional service. They want to regulate the breathing process. This is simply a bodily concern. Here, Dhrumaras plainly says that a devotee has no bodily interest. He knows that he is not the body. From the very beginning, therefore, without wasting time in bodily exercises, a devotee searches out a pure devotee and simply by his association becomes more advanced in spiritual consciousness than any yogi. Because a devotee knows that he is not the body, he is never affected by bodily happiness or distress. He is not interested in bodily relationships with wife, children, home, bank balance, etc., or in the distress or happiness which comes from these things. This is the special advantage of being a devotee. This status of life is possible only when a devotee is interested in associating with a pure devotee who always enjoys the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 13. Tiryannaga Dvija Sharishripa Deva Daitya Matyadibihi Parichitam Sad Asad Vishesham Rupam Stavishtam Ajate महद आदि अनेकम नातः परम परम वेद्मि न यत्र वादः synonyms tiryak by animals naga trees dvija birds sharistripa reptiles deva demigods daitya demons matya adibihi by men etc parichitam pervaded, sad asat, vishesham, with varieties manifest and non-manifest, rupam, form, stavishtam, gross universal, aja, O unborn, te, your, mahat adi, caused by the total material energy, etc. Anekam, various causes, na, not, ataha, from this Param, transcendental, Parama, O Supreme, Vedmi, I know, Na, not, Yatra, where, Vadaha, various arguments. Translation: My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest, but I have never experienced the supreme form I behold as I see you now. Now, all kinds of theorizing processes are finished. Purport: in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He has spread Himself throughout the universe, but although everything is resting upon Him, He is aloof. The same concept is expressed here by Dhruva Maharaj. He states that before seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, he had experienced only the varieties of material forms, which are counted at 8.4 million species of aquatics, birds, beasts, etc. The fact is that unless one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, it is impossible for him to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 1855, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. Factual understanding of the absolute truth, who is the Supreme Person, cannot be obtained by any process other than the devotional service. Dhruva Maharaj here compares his previous state of understanding with the perfection of understanding in the presence of the Supreme Lord. The position of a living entity is to render service unless he becomes to the stage of unless he comes to the stage of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he engages in the service of the various forms of trees, reptiles, animals, men, demigods, etc. One can experience that one man engages in the service of a dog, another serves plants and creepers, another the demigods, and another humanity or his boss in the office, but no one is engaged in the service of Krishna. Aside from common men, even men who are elevated in terms of spiritual understanding are at the utmost engaged in the service of the Virata Rupa or unable to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. They worship voidism by meditation. Dhruva Maharaj, however, had been blessed by the Supreme Lord. When the Lord touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead, real knowledge was revealed from within, and Dhruva could understand the Lord's transcendental form. Dhruva Maharaj here admits that not only was he ignorant, but by years he was only a child. It would not have been possible for an ignorant child to appreciate the supreme form of the Lord had he not been blessed by the Lord, who touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead. Text 14. Kalpanta yetad akilam jatareణ गृह्णन् शेते पुमान् स्वदृग् अनंत शक्तस् तद अंके यन्नाभि सिन्धुरुह कांचन लोकपदं पद्मा गर्भे द्युमान् भगवते प्रणतोऽस्मि तस्मिन्. Synonyms: Kalpante, at the end of the millennium. Etat, this universe. Akhilam, all. Jatarena, within the belly. Grinnan, withdrawing. Shete, lies down. Puman, the supreme person. Swadruk, looking upon himself. Ananta, the unlimited being. Shesha. Shakaha, accompanied by Tat Anke, on his lap. Yat, from whose Nabhi, navel, Sindhu, ocean, Ruha, sprouted, Kanchana, golden, Loka, planet, Padma, of the lotus, Garbhe, on the world, Dhyuman, Lord Brahman, Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pranataha, offering obeisances, Asmi, I am, Tasmai, unto him. Translation. My dear Lord, at the end of each millennium, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, dissolves everything manifested within the universe in his belly. He lies down on the lap of Seshanaga. From his navel sprouts a golden lotus flower on a stem, and on the lotus, Lord Brahma is created. I can understand that you are the same Supreme Godhead. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Dhromaraja's understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is complete. In the Vedas, it is said, Esmin Vijñate Sarvam Evam Vijñatam Bhavanti. Knowledge received through the transcendental causeless mercy of the Lord is so perfect that by that knowledge the devotee becomes acquainted with all the different manifestations of the Lord. Lord Kshirakta Sai Vishnu was present before Dhruva Maharaj, who could also understand the Lord's two other forms, namely Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and Karanodaka Sai Mahavishnu. Regarding Mahavishnu, it is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Esyaika Nishvasita Kalam Athavalambhya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Natah Vishnur Mahan Sa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma Samhita 548. At the end of each and every millennium, when all the material worlds are dissolved, everything enters the body of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, who is lying on the lap of Sheshanaga, another form of the Lord. Those who are not devotees cannot understand the different forms of Vishnu and their positions in regard to the creation. Sometimes the atheists argue, how can a flower stem sprout from the navel of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu? They consider all the statements of the Shastras to be stories. As a result of their inexperience in the absolute truth and their reluctance to accept authority, they become more and more atheistic. They cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But a devotee like Dhruva Maharaj, by the grace of the Lord, knows all the manifestations of the Lord and their different positions. It is said that anyone who has even a little of the Lord's grace can understand his glories. Others may go on speculating on the absolute truth, but they will always be unable to understand the Lord. In other words, unless one comes in contact with the devotee, it is not possible to understand the transcendental form or the spiritual world and its transcendental activities. Text 15. Tvam Nityamukha Mukta परिशुद्ध विबुद्ध आत्मा कोटस्थ आदि पुरुषो भगवांस त्रि अधीशः यद्बुद्धि स्थितिम अखंडितया स्वदृष्ट्या दृष्ट्वा अकिता स्थिताव अधिमुखो व्यतिरिक्त आस्य synonyms. Tvam, you, Nitya, eternally, Mukta, liberated, Parishuddha, uncontaminated, Vibuddha, full of knowledge, Atma, the supreme soul, Kotastha, changeless, Adi, original, Purushaha, person, Bhagavan, the Lord, full with six opulences, three Adhishaha, master of the three modes, Yat, whence, Buddhi, of intellectual activities, Avasthitam, all stages, Akhanditaya, unbroken, Swadrishtya, by transcendental vision, Drashtva, you witness, Sthitau, for maintaining the universe. Adhimakha, enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Swatiriktaha, differently. Asya, you are situated. Translation. My Lord, by your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. You are eternally liberated. Your existence is situated in pure goodness. You are existent in the supreme in the super soul without change. You are the original personality of Godhead, full with six opulences, and you are eternally the master of the three modes of material nature. Thus, you are always different from the ordinary living entities. As Lord Vishnu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe, and yet you stand aloof and you are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Purport. An atheistic argument against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead states that if God, the Supreme Person, appears and disappears and sleeps and awakens, then what is the difference between God and the living entity? Dhruv Maharaj is carefully distinguishing the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from that of the living entities. He points out that the following differences. The Lord is eternally liberated. Whenever he appears, even within this material world, he is never entangled by the three modes of material nature. He is known, therefore, as Triadhisha, the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, it is said, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. The living entities are all entangled in the three modes of material nature. The external energy of the Lord is very strong, but the Lord, as the master of the three modes of nature, is ever liberated from the action and reaction of those modes. He is therefore uncontaminated, as it is stated in the Ishopanishad. The contamination of the material world does not affect the supreme Godhead. Krishna therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita that those who are rascals and fools think of him as an ordinary human being, not knowing his Paramabhavam. Parambhavam refers to his being always transcendentally situated. Material contamination cannot affect him. Another difference between the Lord and the living entity is that a living entity is always in darkness. Even though he may be situated in the mode of goodness, there are still so many things which are unknown to him. But it is not the same for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows past, present, and future, and everything that is happening in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita confirms this Vedaham Samati Tani. The, the Lord is not part of the soul. He is the unchangeable supreme soul, and the living entities are his parts and parcels. The living entity is forced to appear in this material world under the direction of Daiva Maya. But when the Lord appears, he comes by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. Besides that, a living entity is within the time of past, present, and future. His life has a beginning, a birth, and in the conditioned state, his life ends with the death. But the Lord is Adi Purusha, the original person. In the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma offers his respect to the Adi Purusha, Govinda, the original person, who has no beginning, whereas the creation of this material world has a beginning. In Vedanta says, Janmadasya yataha. Everything is born from the Supreme, but the Supreme has no birth. He has all the six opulences in full and beyond comparison. He is the master of material nature. His intelligence is not broken under any circumstances, and he stands aloof, although he is the maintainer of the whole creation. As stated in the Vedas, Kata Upanishad 2 1 13 Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The Lord is the supreme maintainer. Living entities are meant to serve him by offering sacrifices, for he is the rightful enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Everyone therefore should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord with his life, his riches, his intelligence, and his words. This is the original constitutional position of the living entities. One should never compare the sleeping of an ordinary living entity with the sleeping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the causal ocean. There is no stage at which the living entity can compare to the Supreme Person. The Mayavadi philosophers, being unable to adjust to all this, come to the conclusion of impersonalism or voidism. Text 16.
Oh, okay, one more, Prabhu.
यस्मिन् विरुद्धगतयो ह्यनिशं पतन्ति विधा विद्यादयो विविध शक्तया आनुपूर्व्यात् तद् ब्रह्म विश्वभवम् एकम् अनन्तम् आद्यम् आनन्दमात्रम् अविकारम् अहं प्रपद्ये. Synonyms: यस्मिन्, in whom, viruddha gatayah, of opposite character, he, certainly, anisham, always, patanti, or manifest, vidya adayah, knowledge and ignorance, etc. Vividya, various, shaktya, energies, anupurvyat, continually, tat, that, Brahman, Vishwabhavam, the cause of material creation, Ekam, one, Anantam, unlimited, Adyam, original, Anandamatram, simply blissful, Avikaram, changeless, Aham, I, Prapadye, offer my obeisances. Translation: My dear Lord, in your impersonal manifestation of Brahman, there are always two opposing elements, knowledge and ignorance. Your multi energies are continually manifest, but the impersonal Brahman, which is undivided, original, changeless, unlimited, and blissful, is the cause of the material manifestation. Because you are the same impersonal Brahman, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport: in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the unlimited impersonal Brahman is the effulgence of the transcendental body of Govinda. In that unlimited effulgent aura of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are innumerable universes with innumerable planets of different categories. Although the Supreme Person is the original cause of all causes, still his impersonal effulgence, known as Brahman, is the immediate cause of the material manifestation. Dhruva therefore offered here his respectful obeisances unto the impersonal feature of the Lord. One who realizes this impersonal feature can enjoy the unchangeable Brahmananda described here as spiritual bliss. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore describes that this impersonal feature or Brahman manifestation of the Supreme Lord is meant for persons who are essentially very advanced but still not able to understand the personal features or variegatedness of the spiritual world. Such devotees are known as Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, or devotees whose devotional service is mixed with emphoric knowledge. Because the impersonal Brahman realization is a partial understanding of the absolute truth, Dhruva Maharaj offers his respectful obeisances. It is said that this impersonal Brahman is the distant realization of the absolute truth. Although apparently Brahman seems to be devoid of energy, factually it has different energies working under the headings of knowledge and ignorance. On account of these different energies, there is continually a manifestation of Vidya and Avidya. Vidya and Avidya are very nicely described in Ishopanishad. It is stated there that sometimes, due to Avidya or a poor fund of knowledge, one accepts the absolute truth as ultimately impersonal. But in fact, the impersonal and impersonal realizations develop in proportions to the development of devotional service. The more we develop our devotional service, the more closely we approach the absolute truth, which in the beginning, when we realize the absolute truth from a distant place, is manifest as impersonal. People in general who are under the influence of avidya shakti or maya have neither knowledge nor devotion. But when a person who is a little advanced and is therefore called a jnani advances even more, he is in the category of jnana mishra bhakta or a devotee whose love is mixed with knowledge, material knowledge. When he is still further advanced, he can realize the absolute truth is a person with multi energies. An advanced devotee can understand the Lord and his creative energy. As soon as one accepts the creative energy of the absolute truth, the six opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are also understood. Devotees who are still further advanced in full knowledge can understand the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Only on that platform can one fully enjoy transcendental bliss. An example is given in this connection by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur of a person proceeding towards a destination. As he approaches, he sees the destination from a distant place, just as we see a city from a distance. At that time, he simply understands that the city is situated at a distance. When, however, he comes still nearer, he sees the domes and flags. But as soon as he enters the city, he sees various paths, gardens, lakes, and marketplaces with shops and persons buying. He sees varieties of cinema houses and he sees dancing and jubilation. When a person actually enters the city and personally sees the activities of the city, he becomes satisfied.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, I would like to read the whole chapter, but it's getting late.
There are 60 plus verses in this chapter.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, it's really nice.
It will take 3 days, Prabhu. Easily 3 days. But it's very
Hmm.
nice. So impersonal Brahman actually has knowledge and ignorance both.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vidya and Vidya. That's an interesting one.
Personal Brahman operates the world in both knowledge and ignorance
Knowledge
to
and
to
ignorance,
keep
yeah.
to keep the material world both in knowledge and ignorance.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Praveen Prabhu. You read so much and you scrolled also. It was really nice. Like this, we will come to the 12th canto so quickly.
Sure.
Okay, let's chant 6 Astakam prayers. Haribol.
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापणं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तेस् तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशं ह्याजनि नानुरागः
ऋणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानेन मानदेन कीर्तनीयाय सदा हरिः न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीशकामे मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
नन्दतनिधिं विक्रमावसरे भवान् दौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कज ीनं गलदशुधारया वदनगदगदया यकृतदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
गायितं
गायितं
गायितं निमेषेण युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत् सर्वं गोविन्द विरहेण मे।
तस्य शिवापादरतं पिनश्रमाम् अदर्शनमर्मकथं करोतु पिता तथा विवेकलं पठो न प्राणनाथस्य सेवनापरः।
Haribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all the benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I physical man, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want to accomplish devotion service for that. O son of Nanda Krishna, I am not eternal servitor, yet some or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me from this ocean of death and place me as not returned to the
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your passion, I am considering a moment to be like prayers or more tears or silence, and my eyes look like tolerance of rain, and I am feeling all like I know no one but Krishna is my Lord. He should remain so long. He helps me to present by the who cannot attain
Please talk with me, child.
She sisters that she
Jai.
बहु जन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तब तन पाए कृष्ण पदे प्रेमतन. If one is interested in the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God, and that is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. First offense, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and consider him as an ordinary person. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Tenth offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectable obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya
Kripa
Patanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Namo.
Namah.
Thank you, Introduce, for your kind
Namta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrindi ki Jai.
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 Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
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 Sai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Hari.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, brother, no charm to all of you, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you so much,
Krishna
First
Prabhupada,
Assistant
thank you,
Prabhu.
Krishna
Jai
Prabhupada.
Shri Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhupada.
Hari Bol.